The people of Israel were slaves in Egypt, and they were led out of Egypt by God and through his faithful servant Moses. They were Abraham's descendants and God's chosen people, who God had promised Abraham that he would bless. Years into the journey to the promised land had made the Israelites weary and tired. It wasn't easy to travel in the desert following God, and one day the Israelite people began to complain. The Bible says, that night all the members of the community raised their voices and wept aloud. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole assembly said to them, if only we had died in Egypt or in the wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be taken as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to each other, we should choose a leader and go back to Egypt. Joshua and Caleb said to the entire Israelite assembly, the land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. But the whole assembly talked about stoning them. This complaining made God angry at the Israelites. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, how long will this wicked community grumble against me? I've heard the complaints of these grumbling Israelites, so tell them, as surely as I live, declares the Lord, I will do to you the very thing I heard you say in this wilderness. Your bodies will fall, every one of you, 20 years old or more, who has counted in the census and who has grumbled against me. Not one of you will enter the land I swore with uplifted hand to make your home, except Caleb and Joshua. Later, God struck down the people who had complained against him in this incident with a plague, and they died. And because the Israelites complained, God's own chosen people, and they disrespected God and what he had done for them, God kept them from entering the promised land, and he kept them wandering in the desert for 40 years until all that generation died, except for Caleb and Joshua. The Apostle Paul wrote about them. He said, we must not put Christ to the test, nor grumble as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Complaining is when we say negative things about people, places, or things, or situations, voicing our discontent about them. Complaining is a sin that carries a severe punishment by God. When we complain, we open doors to Satan and do not receive the blessings we could if we kept silent. Complaining keeps us from God's blessings. It can even make us sick, as it did to the ones who complained against God and wanted to go back to Egypt. Complaining kept the Israelites from entering the promised land, and it kept them in the wilderness until all that generation died, delaying the promise of Abraham to the next